This year's NBA All-Star Weekend was...
Hasn't played all season long.
Apparently, he doesn't know who he is because he is amassing multiple burner accounts to go and mix it up with dudes with like 50 people following them.
Shockingly, a success. The game itself was the second most watched since 2003. And you can very easily, and rightfully so, point to NBC having the broadcast rights again, adding Telemundo to the mix, and the fact that in the 23-year run TNT had, they never accounted for online viewership. But that's just nerd. Alright, the real reason this horse was revived was because of the NBA's completely original idea to have the game be the USA versus the world. Honestly though, shout out Adam Silver, because even though Team World got smoked both games, it put the fattest spotlight on what the future of the NBA looks like. I'm gonna absolutely expose myself here, but I was a senior in high school when the Ball brothers were printing money for Ball is Life. And I want to mention right away that I don't mean to specifically single out LaMelo or Chino Hills, but that being said, I want all of the smoke with AAU basketball. The youth sports pipeline in America, specifically AAU, to reach the NBA reeks of...
My mommy and daddy told me you guys are poor.
But I'm jumping ahead. There might be a solid group of you that have no idea what AAU basketball is, or especially what it's transformed into. Say you're a 6'1" sophomore from Green Bay, Wisconsin. First off, get ready to learn center, buddy. Second, AAU stands for Amateur Athletic Union and is completely separate in regards to anything with your own school's athletics. The season usually runs from March to early October with tournaments on the weekends nationwide. And in most cases, unless you're a 6'7", 2K demigod, usually your parents are the ones having to reach out and get you signed up for tryouts. Also, I should mention, AAU spans way beyond basketball, but for the purpose of this video, anytime I mention AAU, we're talking about basketball. And yes, I think the AAU's main objective of gathering the best talent in America, creating these high traffic tournaments for these young athletes, especially in this current NIL era, it's an absolute home run of a sales pitch. But at the same time, I grew up playing AAU basketball in the early 2010s, and I have photographed countless tournaments since 2020. And a lot of these regulated tournaments lately are a nightmare. And like nearly everything in life, no matter how much good you put into a pot, it always boils down to this. I was too busy getting scammed at the GE to pay attention to what my parents were paying for AAU hoops back in the day, but I'd be willing to bet it's nowhere near what parents are dropping today. Some of these families are dropping thousands of dollars a season, and that's excluding gas, food, hotel, just to end up playing a team at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning called Gremlin University doing shit like this all game. I feel as though this cannot just be glossed over. I know I'm not part of the target demo, and as part of this like troll wave of content on YouTube and TikTok, regardless, the fact they're doing this in games and usually winning is such a bad look. And it's not necessarily a bad look on Coach Gremlin. If anything, shout out Not So Air Jordan for, let's be honest, inadvertently exposing how busted AAU really is. You want to know why teams like Gremlin University are even remotely competitive in these tourneys? It's not because they're stacked with D1 talent, it's because these teams are practicing like once a week.
I mean, just looking at the AAU, kind of how formatted is, like we're not playing 6 games a week. Like we're playing
like the AAU format, huh?
two games, and then we're practicing. Like we're learning.
The way we train here in America, on top of you add in the capitalism aspect of it. Meanwhile, other countries have kids in academies at 15 years old practicing twice a day, every day. You're in Europe. If you go play in Europe, you practice twice a day, every single day, except for game days. Twice a
And
day.
you only play one time a week.
How can any of these kids develop any meaningful skills when practice is so clearly viewed as an afterthought? And this goes way beyond Gremlin University, by the way. The AAU product today is horrendous. I don't want to be like the old man yelling at the clouds, but seeing 6th graders spam threes and then immediately enter a full court press?
You better stop!
Hey, what are we doing? It's not like it's Braden, Caden, or Aiden's fault. It's these coaches. I swear to you, with every fiber of my being, a gross amount of these AAU coaches could not care less about the development of your child. Honestly though, like, it's become such a pay-to-win ecosystem that winning is all that matters. Why teach kids how to play man defense, how to operate in the post, or God forbid, how to use an elbow midi when you can spend the one practice you have a week running the same 2-3 zone that you use in every tournament you enter? Because, let's be real, against a 2-3 zone, even if the other team gets the entry pass into Caden at the free throw line, he's not going to read the game like a Jokic or Şengün. He's a 6th grader. Of course that is going to result in a turnover 9 times out of 10. That's the meta. Run a full court press or 2-3 zone, score in transition, hope the other team doesn't do the same, win the tourney, put that on your IG bio and website, cash out, rinse and repeat, baby. Except, yeah, that rinse and repeat is shredding your child's Achilles and ACL. According to a study done by Sports Health, 772 American youth basketball players between 13 to 18 years old were questioned about their overall health and sleep habits during the season. And in that research, they discovered that the majority of youth basketball athletes reported specializing earlier than the recommended age of 14 years, exceeded the participation recommendations in terms of competitive events played, and did not obtain the recommended amount of time away from organized basketball for rest and recovery. So with that info now, maybe it'll be an easier pill for you to swallow when I tell you that 20 of the last 21 Achilles tears in the NBA happened to players from the United States. By the time these guys hit the league, between their parents hyperfixating them on one sport plus AAU tourney weekends, their is literally fettuccine. Now, compare that to Europe. We've already talked about how their youth is practicing twice a day and only playing 1 game a week, but beyond even that, they focus so much more on the angles and fundamentals of the game, all while playing up against grown men. The prime example of this is obviously Luka Doncic and everything he did with Real Madrid as a teenager. Youngest EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague champion, named to the All-Decade team, and he was doing this to an OKC team that had MVP Russell Westbrook at 17 years old. And yes, I know it was a preseason game, and I'm not naive to the fact I'm sort of cherry picking here with Luka, but if you think the NBA isn't dominated by global talent,
stop it. Get some help.
Probably an insane thing to say considering the 135 international players this year is record-breaking for the NBA, yet only accounts for a fourth of the player pool. But is it insane though? Look at the last 10 MVPs. 7 of them are from outside the US, with the last American receiving his MVP over 8 years ago. And at least according to Basketball Reference, there's a 95.6% chance that this year's MVP will again not be from the States. So yeah, I'm gonna double down. The fact only a fourth of the league is international talent, yet over the last decade, 80% of the NBA's quote-unquote best players are not from the US. At least we got AAU travel ball, right? And as you would expect with all of this, the Stephen A's and Redditors of the world are totally chill and love the idea of a guy like Giannis being the face of the league.
My personal opinion is I don't believe an international player can be the face of the NBA.
We are searching for that next American face. Like, we need that guy to enter the conversation.
I would love for my dog Giannis, that face, to be the face of the NBA. No, not possible for him to be the face of the NBA. Yeah, it's not possible, Selden. Why is it not possible? You can't be the face of the NBA if they can't pronounce your last name.
There's a lot of stupid conversations ESPN regurgitates on a daily basis, but nothing tastes as acidic like the same dumbass face of the league dialogue, especially because the ESPNs of the world are spamming this headline about a league that has over 70% of its viewership come from overseas. For comparison, when looking at the NFL, out of these 9 other countries, Germany had the highest viewership at 12%. And I guess that viewership checks out when you realize that the NFL last season only had 5% of their players born outside of the US. But I think what frustrates me the most about all the face of the league conversations are all the constant forced narratives.
I know what they can do. Get rid of all the Europeans. They have no speed, no jumping ability. They are a liability on defense. There's 150 Euros in the league today. Name the top 10 defenders.
None.
That's a crazy take coming from a guy whose team got actively worse on defense when he was on the floor every year of his career. But even taking Gilbert out of this, it's not even true. Looking at a player's defensive rating isn't a perfect stat by any means, but when over half of the top 10 players in that category are not born from the US,
so I guess we're just lying now.
And did everyone already forget it took the Endgame Avengers to beat a French squad led by 20-year-old Wemby and Nick Batum?
NBA, nobody considers the European players tough, especially a player from France. It's the truth.
Imagine someone saying all Europeans are soft in the Big 2-6 and then passing them an iPad like the MJ doc and showing them the video of Jokic reacting to Lou Dort tripping him. But I think an extension of people's frustration with Euro players is how they react to the officials, which objectively, yeah, seeing Luka constantly jawing the refs for 36 minutes a night, it's not a fun watch. Neither is seeing Ant do the same thing though, Stephen A. That's where you lose me. Acting like the ref and player relationship issue is strictly a Euro problem and not a majority of the league is some goofy. I grew up with the Lob City Clippers, and while you and I both remember Blake's posters, I also remember always getting dunked on for liking a team that was repeatedly getting teed up for chirping the refs. And the last time I checked, Chris was from North Carolina, DJ's from Texas, and Blake's from Oklahoma. Regardless, if we're gonna lean into the face of the league meme, it's so obvious it should be Victor Wembanyama. I don't even care that he hasn't won anything yet. The mentality is absolutely there. This man was crying after winning a regular season game against a sub 500 Clippers squad. Anybody that bitches about regular season basketball better have a Wemby jersey in their cart right now. There was also a sizable group of fans that thought the All-Star games these last few years have been chopped, cooked, 6 feet under. Until this year. It's not even an exaggeration when I say from tip-off, Wemby set the tone for the entire night. And not even just offensively. While everyone else on the floor is just kind of going through the motions, look at Wemby come from the weak side and pin cage shit off the glass. It's one thing for players to say All-Star Weekend matters in front of a bunch of mics and cameras. It's a whole different thing when you're throwing your hands up and looking at the sky because of a Scotty Barnes game winner. That's where Wemby's different. I genuinely believe that he actually cares about winning in every format. And if you still don't believe me, listen to his response when asked about the Spurs hitting 50-plus wins for the first time in over 9 years.
This growth, it's still not enough. I want to get to at least 60 to balance out my rookie season.
He's got the mentality of Kobe, he can score anywhere on the floor, and he's the best in the league at the thing your 42-year-old divorced beer gut uncle swears the NBA doesn't play anymore. And I feel like I should clarify, Anthony Edwards, for example, also shares a lot of those same abilities, and if he were to overtake this metaphorical face of the league title, I'm cool with that. If it's because he's balling out and dominating the entire league, not just because he was born in an Atlanta hospital in 2001. And at the end of the day, I know it's just a fake title to farm engagement, but I do think there's absolutely destructive undertones and reasonings being said, sort of poisoning the NBA pond, and we need an antidote bad.
Don't you let out the antidote.
I think the easy and knee-jerk reaction would be to argue that we already have an antidote in Wemby, but there's 29, soon to be 31 other teams in the league. There's only one Wemby, and I don't think everyone's down to be rooting for San Antonio every night. And with 75% of the league being American, I feel like I have to circle back to this. A large aspect of youth basketball is not looking to produce talent and instead produce profit. And that snail trail rides all the way up to college. I absolutely think college athletes should be getting paid. And the NIL policy getting passed back in 2021 was a no-brainer. But did everyone else forget how close NCAA basketball was to pretty much becoming extinct? Overtime Elite, G League Ignite, guys like LaMelo choosing to go overseas after high school. All of those paths gave these 5 stars solid competition, visibility, draft eligibility, all while giving something colleges couldn't. Blue strips, baby. The NCAA saw the writing on the wall, caved, and the NIL was born. Selfishly, I just wish we had a longer timeline where we saw the top prospects go overseas or to Ignite, because I do think the NBA would have been better for it. But as for today, the future, I think youth basketball has to be reworked from the ground up. AAU especially is so star-driven, and you combine that with the fact these kids are practicing like once a week, the development is hinging on non-existent. And with YouTube, ESPN, and social media being the absolute powerhouses they are, pumping out constant, quick, highlight-based content, I fear that you are the antidote. Don't let the Stephen A's of the world distort, manufacture, and sell you these false narratives. The NBA, without question, needs international talent to survive. And I promise you, the league will be just fine in the hands of the kid who grew up in France. But I want to hear from you. How would you try and fix AAU basketball? Also, gotta shout out my guy Leo for leaving this comment on the last video. Made me feel like the opposite of James Harden come playoffs. Outside of that though, that's going to do it for today's video. If you're not subscribed, dude, I have a degree in casual takes. You're gonna want to subscribe and hit that like button. But that's officially it for me today. I will see y'all in the next one.